Hello, denizens of the universe. I'm the Romance Scrooge, and joining me today are.
Enlightened robot.
And Nobody.
Today, we're going to be discussing Butch Hartman's latest Kickstarter for Oaxis Entertainment.
Oh, access.
The general impression I got from his pitch video was that it's supposed to be a blend between a streaming service and YouTube, because he was talking about wanting to bring in a whole host of programming from live action sitcoms, animated cartoons and productions to sports broadcasts and stuff. And then later on in the video, or the pitch video, he mentions wanting to give people the option to upload birthday parties, graduations, etc. Pretty much what YouTube originally was. Platform for uploading and sharing home movies or whatever.
But it has to follow a strict sense of strict family friendly set of guidelines, apparently.
One of the biggest criticisms that I personally have for the pitch video, or just looking at the general pitch, there isn't really a concrete sense of what he means by family friendly or positive content. If there's anything that needs to be revised or given more clarity, is what he means by family friendly. What he means by no negative content. What goes over the line? The most you had to work with is you.
You okay there? Was Scrooge booted off of her own stream?
It's probably an internet problem.
Oh. Okay, I guess in order to fill time. Okay, so just in general.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves some snacks.
Hello, Scrooge. Welcome back.
What?
Yeah, I think you cut out for a moment.
But
you're here now.
Your rage was so intense, Google was like, nope.
Yeah, Danny Phantom cut my Ethernet cord because
Na. Cut content.
But yeah, from what I've been getting from Scrooge earlier in our conversation pre-stream, is that Scrooge doesn't exactly have high hopes for Oaxis, and in all honesty, I kind of see a lot of her points. I'm probably a little bit more neutral than you, Scrooge, about the entire thing. Like I do wish Butch Hartman the best at the very least, but you do have a lot of legitimate claims there, especially concerning how Butch Hartman it seems to only be coming from Butch Hartman as opposed to a team, and the fact that we don't exactly know who or what Butch Hartman is defining as family friendly.
That and the umbrella for, we're going to have animated programs, live action programs, etc. For animated programs, you do have a point of reference and can probably assume that it'd be par for the course, something like Fairly Odd Parents, Bunsen is a Beast, etc. But what would the live action sitcoms be? Like, it'd be great if you had a couple of examples for prospects that Butch Hartman might consider for Oaxis, even if it isn't a set in stone guarantee. But this would be a measuring stick for, this is the kind of premise I'd be looking for, this is the kind of content I'd be looking for people to pitch. Just what exactly?
Actually, there are maybe like two examples I can think of that might fit the type of things he would want. Because I know he's close friends with the creator of the show, but there's Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, School Survival Guide, which was created by Scott Fellows, and it even featured cameo appearances from Cosmo and Wanda and the Crimson Chin at certain points.
I remember Cosmo and Wanda, but I don't remember the Crimson Chin.
He was on the Notebook. And then there was also Scott Fellows' other show. I'm trying to remember what his other show was. It was Big Time Rush. Now, granted, I should probably mention Scott Fellows is not necessarily. That's a classified school survival guide. I actually have fond memories of. It was a pretty decent show throughout its entire run, at least from what I recall. He's also the creator of Johnny Test.
Not getting into that.
What?
Not getting into that.
You had a negative, and now you have we had a positive, and now a negative.
Yeah. Oh, and he's his other shows include 100 Things to Do Before High School, which sounds suspiciously similar to It's a Classified School Survival Guide. Just reading the title. I'm streaming.
That also makes me think of the 100 Good Deeds of Eddie McDowd.
He also created Super Noobs, and he also created The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. Well, he didn't create that. He's working on the reboot. But
hey, rookie, watch me pull a reboot out of my head.
Probably not going to be the sitcoms though. It's probably not going to be too similar to say Drake and Josh, because I feel like Drake and Josh might actually be too edgy, given them the content it featured.
There lies a problem. You stated something that served as a fantastic example or template for what Butch Hartman would be looking for this particular network, but it's not said in writing or anywhere in the Kickstarter pitch, when it should pop up in the pitch video or somewhere in the summary or notes.
True. I mean, he doesn't have a solid guideline, but I think.
Yeah, someone who would read all the rules just so I know how to break them. I can attest, if it's not in black and white, then some pretty sneaky things could be sent through.
I mean, I'm actually kind of wondering, because I'm Maton, I hope it's not too controversial for me to say, but Butch Hartman is like the most edgeless man alive. And I'm trying to think the thing he did that's probably his most boundary pushing work is probably Danny Phantom. Like, even in terms of rating wise, I can see how that Danny Phantom did try to be a bit more serious at times. I recall Ultimate Enemy having a fairly dark plot line involving the deaths of multiple characters. Aside from that, he created Fairly Odd Parents, which at its worst has mild innuendo. And then he's also created Bunsen is a Beast, and he created Tough Puppies. And those shows are very, very edgeless, from what I can tell. I don't know.
I guess to an extent you could say that Bunsen and Tough Puppy were playing it a lot more safe than what Danny Phantom and Fairly Odd Parents were.
Yeah, and okay, so I guess I'll just go into like what I personally think of everything, because like I said, I am a little bit more neutral on this idea than Scrooge is. I do genuinely wish Butch Hartman the best of luck, because Butch Hartman, from what I can tell, has not done anything wrong, so to speak. He's not a bad person by any means, which it's nice to see in a world where we have a world where people like Dan Snyder, for example, exist. even if you take the rumors about him away, there's still the fact that Dan Snyder, for example, he hates animators apparently, which is he hates animators and he's apparently been a pain to work with. Butch Hartman has never had the same type of controversy surrounding him. And that's probably because he's so edgeless. So I do genuinely wish him the best. With that said, I'm not really sure there's much of a market for this. Given the general direction, first off, where animation is going, where things are going just a little bit edgier than what I imagine Butch Hartman is comfortable with. Cartoon Network fully embracing the TV PG rating, and even channels like Disney going with even channels like Disney trying to redo the success of Gravity Falls by doing more storyline shows with a few dark elements thrown in. Star versus the Forces of Evil is not going to be gaining a large amount of controversy anytime soon, but there are darker moments in that, and I'm not sure if Butch Hartman is ready for that type of content, just given his history of TV.
The fact that he radically shifted tones in Danny Phantom midway through the show.
Yeah, and that was because they booted the other guy. Was it Steve Marmel? Or I think it was a guy. It was a guy who eventually created Yin Yang Yo. I know that.
It was when the show first was first airing and stuff and coming out, they were leaning towards the Ghost Zone and the darker themes, and then the show started treating the Ghost Zone like the Shadow Realm, in a sense of oh, ghosts, dead people, and then later seasons oh, they're from a different dimension. They're not dead people.
Yeah. I don't know. I genuinely do wish him the best, but I don't see the market. I know for a fact that I'm not going to be using this. Keep in mind, this is okay. So keep in mind, this is a what's called. I don't know. He's going to be competing against Netflix and YouTube and all this other stuff, and a lot of these things are. Well, first off, every time, as soon as the advertiser-friendly thing with YouTube came out, there was huge controversies over that because suddenly a lot of people who are known for offensive humor and stuff were suddenly being flagged as not advertiser-friendly. And the thing is with that even extended to channels where it was genuinely family-friendly, but the creator happened to be LGBT, and apparently YouTube deemed that as not advertiser friendly for some reason.
Except during the month of June.
In regards to YouTube cracking down on censorship and stuff with the whole kids section, there was a controversy a while back where you had bigger family videos, Elsa and Spider-Man. That's just touching the tip of the iceberg. These videos would pop up, kids would click on them, and oh man, there would be something horrible that popped up in these videos. That was a controversy in and of itself. I dug through the Reddit around Butch Hartman's pitch video, or when he first put the link out for his Kickstarter, and I think there is a market or potential demographic for an app or service like what Butch Hartman is presenting. The problem I personally have with it, or what I think the problem or issue is that the concept is too vague. It's too ambiguous. It's not very clearly defined. The way he set it up right now, it comes across as trying to be some kind of mix between the streaming service and YouTube. There is potential for a competitor for the YouTube Kids section, or even Netflix's kids programming. If he were going to go for a streaming service, it should just stay as a streaming service, or be better defined as this is what the in-game goal is. Actually, thinking about it, the bigger issue or bigger competition is the fact that something like Netflix is such a beast. It's such a beast in the fact that, okay, they're pretty much DreamWorks' new dumping ground for whatever new cartoons they've come out with. It's easier for them to pick up licenses and such. Any potential competitor, they have the means and resources to produce new cartoons, to pick up licenses and such. Yeah. I think if Axis Entertainment were going to have a better start or have a better starting place, have to figure out some kind of budget or how they get financing to compete with something like Netflix. Like, how are they going to license things? Again, it all comes down to where's the breakdown of where the licensing and such are going to come from? Where are the more specifics of how this project or what phase 1 is?
Yeah, he should be more like a Bond villain and explain all the phases leading up to things. And also have a couple of people going like, all right, look, whenever this comes out, here's some of the stuff that will be available immediately.
Another thing that kind of bugs me about Butch Hartman's Kickstarter, if you look at the reward tiers and such, all of them pretty much amount to, or I'm going to describe one of them fairly loosely here. The $1,000 tier is you get a spot in a drawing class with Butch Hartman.
Yay!
To be honest,
Hooray, an easily mimicable style.
what does this have to do with the Oaxis Entertainment platform? Something that make a bit more sense. Thinking about roughly comparable Kickstarters, offering somebody some kind of producer credit or putting them as a background character in a live action show or one of the productions or something like that. But the reward tiers are probably something else entirely. I can understand where Butch would be coming from with setting up or gearing a lot of these towards trying to appeal to somebody who'd want to be in one of his classes or getting something from getting a personally signed print or something like that. But it just circles back to what another one of the bigger issues is. It's just him by himself working on this. He's banking on enough people knowing and recognizing his name. He has experience working on and producing kids' cartoons. If he's going to go as far as saying, I want to produce live-action teen sitcoms and such, Pie Guy Rolls made a video about this, and he brought up a good point. Why isn't there somebody coming in that's worked on productions like that and throwing their hat in the ring on this? This entire project, it just seems like it needs to be restructured or go back to the drawing board, bring in a few other people, better define what an Oaxis Entertainment live action show would be like. And even though Butch Hartman cartoons would probably be the go-to template for what they might be looking for, might be nice to have another couple of animators or cartoon creators come in too and give other examples of what else or what other kinds of pitches they consider. Just more names behind this project, reward tiers that aren't just get a Butch Hartman signed poster, but something that would be relevant to Oaxis Entertainment or the Kickstarter in general. Just restructuring and refining the idea.
Yes. Is Butch Hartman reaching his intended demographic? Because I'm trying to think, like, who watches his YouTube videos. I don't have any hard numbers here, but I don't have any hard numbers here because maybe there is like a huge demographic of concerned parents who watch Butch Hartman on YouTube.
I don't know. I think that might be some of the viewers, but the most likely demographic, or the biggest one that would be interested in this platform and would be willing to get behind Butch, would be pretty much people our age, people who grew up with his cartoons or have some kind of investment in his.
Exactly. The people who watch his YouTube channel, I don't think he's realized this. Or I don't know. I could be completely off base for this because I do not have any solid statistical analysis on any of this. But I kind of get the impression that the people who watch his channel are either literal children who saw his name on a TV show they liked and found him on YouTube, or else teenagers and young adults who grew up knowing him. Because the fact of the matter, YouTube isn't exactly the best place to get to my dad. You know what I mean? It's YouTube. If a parent's on YouTube, usually what I can tell you what my dad does. He watches car videos all day. And I don't know.
That said, though, if Hartman's project were in this for the long game, if you gave this like another 5-10 years, people our age would be the stereotypical or larger group with kids. You have people in their mid to late 20s that are parents right now, but that number increases once you have early to mid 30 somethings. That increases demographic a little bit, but even that demographic, that's a drop in the bucket to what it seems like Butch Hartman's target demographic, besides former fans, also seems to be just families in general. Maybe stereotypical Christian families or families looking for general audiences entertainment. I was looking at some of the comments for this particular podcast, and somebody brought up a good point. Butch isn't really a businessman either. There's another person you need to bring in on the team. Somebody who could give hard numbers or know how to, or give suggestions as to how to reformat this project or what they need to do to have it appeal to Butch's target demographic, or what would be a good idea to. Is it a good idea to leave this as a streaming service? Like, this just needs more fine tuning. That's really what any of my arguments or points would boil down to. This just needs more fine tuning and more people involved to bounce ideas off of.
Okay, this is purely speculation on my part. But another reason why he could be being intentionally vague is because he probably doesn't want to alienate too many people. Maybe he does. Maybe this is just speculation, but maybe he does have this controversial idea over what's family friendly, and he hasn't said it yet because he's worried about alienating the young audience. He has obvious, or rather, not the young audience, not the youngest of his audience, but the young adults in his audience by saying what exactly family friendly means. Because I can see parents going for a thing like this. I can see younger kids going for something like this. But, he's a guy on YouTube right now, and I'm going through his channel, and he has collaborated with the likes of MacPat. He has collaborated with Thomas Sanders. I'm sure all of these people are really popular with parents. These are people I just know I could bring up in a conversation with my mom, and they will know exactly who I'm talking about. But no, it's kind of I just don't think he's reaching his demographic through YouTube, and for that matter, Kickstarter, which is almost kind of a shame because He could, if you are pitching it to the right people, if you are pitching it to people who we are not representative of, he could probably get this off the ground. But I'm just not sure that there are too many parents out there who even know what a Kickstarter is. I don't know. The related channels that I'm seeing, I don't think he put it on. I don't think Butch put these on himself, but the related channels I'm seeing are Bamskibum 94, the Gravity Falls guy, who did all those theory videos back in the day. Jaden Animations, Watch Mojo, PewDiePie, The Game Theorist, and The Roundtable. When did Butch collaborate with PewDiePie? Is that a thing? I hope that's a thing. And I hope it's terrible. Oh no, it just comes back to his drawings of other YouTubers. Which I guess is terrible. PewDiePie Markiplier and what's his name? Top of the morning to Jacksepticeye, that guy. He drew them. I forgot about that. I don't know. Oh no, I'm looking at his Twitter. At PewDiePie, Danny Finn. Wait, is PewDiePie even responding to any of this? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm going through his Twitter right now, so it sounds really disconnected. PewDiePie is not even responding. And I find that kind of hilarious. Because Butch Harmon is going out of his way to at PewDiePie in all of these posts. But PewDiePie just hasn't responded in any capacity to any of these. I'm sorry, that's very, very off topic.
And I've drawn Butch Hartman as Bob Ross.
Nice.
Oh, that could probably be one of the shows. And now it's time for drawing with Butch Hartman.
Yeah, why not?
Well, I mean, it could come across as kind of PBS-ish. And, PBS, I only have good things to say about them, at least from when I was a child about PBS. I'm not sure about the state of PBS now, but, there's value to a lot of the edutainment shows that they used to have up on there. Not just Bob Ross, but, they also had Sesame Street and, Sesame Street. I'm trying to remember what the other shows are. Was the Boomafoo PBS?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. This was
Butterfly in the sky.
Oh yeah, Reading Rainbow.
Just take a look. I don't know. There's just some shows that I never watch, but I know their theme song.
Yeah, and I suppose that could be the best case scenario. He has his own PBS, which educational, family friendly. I have nothing bad to say against that. That's still only the best case scenario, and this is all purely speculation on my part. So, who knows what it's actually going to be like.
If it actually gets as far as getting funding and reaching the next phases of development or whatever else.
Yeah.
Seems a couple of people have done a couple Butch Hartman, Bob Ross quotes. Not a mistake. It's just a happy little channel.
Oh.
Or, oh, Chloe was a happy accident.
Oh, fuck. I'm not commenting on that. Just, no.
I'm going through some of the news stories right now to see what other people have to say.
Okay, since I saw a little bit of this mentioned in the comments section, I'm going to go ahead and transition topics for a little while. Seems like Butch definitely jumped ship at the right time for Nickelodeon, considering recent controversies like the former president stepping down, the news about what happened with the fellow who made the pilot Constant Pain and what he was trying to do. The controversy with Sandro Corsaro and the Loud House several months ago now. The whole speculation about what Dan Schneider did. Yeah. If Butch had Oaxis in mind for a while, or had any inkling of wanting to reach out or branch out and do something like this, definitely picked the right time to do it, and might have even been a catalyst for what we're seeing right now, like what kind of ideas he's tossing around.
Screw you, Nickelodeon. I'll make my own channel, and it'll be even better with blackjack.
And it will not have any of Dan Schneider on it at all. I'll make a better
channel. I'll make a better channel without a foot fetishist.
Yeah. If there's anything good,
and a union, maybe.
Yeah. Oh dear God! Whenever I talk about the situation going on behind Nickelodeon to my siblings, they keep getting Butch Hartman and Dan Schneider confused, and I'm like, no. Don't compare them. One is at least trying to be a good guy. He's not always good at what he does, but in general, Butch Hartman is not trying to be a bad person. That Snyder's a creep, and I don't. And for everything I have to say about Butch Hartman, I have twice as many things to say about Dan Schneider. But yeah.
Okay, in regards to the whole Dan Schneider thing, it's still a lot of speculation. There's too much there to completely dismiss it, but nothing's really been confirmed either. Just want to put that out there.
True. Yeah. Disclaimer. General disclaimer. Okay, so transitioning out of the creepy Dan Schneider stuff, I think in general, when it comes something that might connect all of this together, is the general vibe that Nickelodeon has always given me, and this is personally why I'm not that huge on Nickelodeon as a channel, or for that matter, why I particularly care for one of the reasons why I don't particularly care for Viacom as a company. Both Disney. The two big competing channels. You have Disney Channel and you have Cartoon Network. Disney Channel and Disney as a whole has always been aiming for families, not kids, families. So they're not going to be producing anything particularly controversial in the near future, but they do take pride in making movies that both kids and adults can like. Cartoon Network, in almost a weird inversion of this thing, it essentially started out as a periphery demographic channel. In a lot of ways, old Cartoon Network was more similar to Adult Swim that we have today than it is to current Cartoon Network. And this is because Powerpuff Girls, as it was originally pitched, was originally titled The Whoop-Ass Girls. And this is because when Cartoon Network was first started, nobody was really sure what demographic they were trying to aim at. eventually they kind of fell into doing the children's demographic, but early Cartoon Network, we had Space Ghost, Space Ghost Coast to Coast. We had reruns of a lot of Looney Tunes. We had Toonheads, which actually discussed cartoons in a his old historic cartoon in a pretty historic and not necessarily uncensored way. Does anybody remember Toonheads, by the way, or am I the only one?
I don't remember it.
My point is that older Cartoon Network, they didn't know what demographic they were aiming at. And in the end, it seems that Cartoon Network wants to be the channel that's for kids but has a periphery demographic of adults. Hence why they're going for the TV PG rating. Nickelodeon, as it has been branded throughout its entire life, and as it's still being and as it's still trying to be its audience today, they care nothing about periphery demographics. If anything, I think they actively hate periphery demographics in a lot of ways. That's the reason why both Invader Zim and Danny Phantom were canceled. If they don't get this very specific demographic, even if the show is doing well, if they don't get this very specific demographic of 6 to 11-year-old boys, then they're going to cancel a show. And because of that, I think Nickelodeon has been having a panic attack over a lot of what they've been putting out recently. I think The Loud House is the only show that they've put out recently that kinda sorta got the same reaction that SpongeBob had. And that, yes, this is exactly the type of show that we can show young boys without people worrying about it too much.
In regards to the topic that you were talking about, trying to reach that 6 to 11 demographic, I wouldn't say that that's exclusive to just Nickelodeon. Why Nickelodeon stands out is that you've seen creators or other crew come out and say, if it's not SpongeBob, they don't care. The only reason The Loud House got the advantage that it did was because it was a smash hit and managed to beat SpongeBob in ratings a couple of times. Nickelodeon wanted things to match up to their monolith. Some of the few examples I can think of for other networks in regards to trying to bank or appeal to a specific demographic is Disney rebranding Toon Disney as Disney XD, and the several cartoons they put on that network, as well as shows like I'm in the Band or live-action teen sitcoms geared more towards preteen boys or that particular demographic. They decided that they needed to gender things since they weren't getting the demographic they wanted for the main channel, but still wanted to try and compete against Cartoon Network or edge them out. And then in Cartoon Network's case, you have cases like Symbionic Titan, Young Justice, that entire block getting mistreated and then axed partly because of toy sales. I think there's more to it than that, but that was one of the 4 frontrunners and rationale or reason for why those shows got axed.
Yeah, Young Justice and Green Lantern, the animated series, got canceled because DC was like, oh, our show's doing really well. What are the demographics? Mostly women? Well, shit. Cancel it. They don't buy the toys or the merchandise.
True. I don't know. I do know what you're talking about with the entire toy sales thing. And yeah,
I don't even understand the whole toy argument because I don't remember ever seeing toys of a lot of other Cartoon Network show except for like a Burger King kids meal or a McDonald's kids meal every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to toys, my personal opinion about all of this is that
I've never seen an Ed, Edd n Eddy toy.
In general, no matter what franchise they're coming from, they're just not toys. Just aren't selling as well because parents are getting their kids iPads now, and I don't think that's even necessarily a bad thing. It's just that why would a kid be asking for an action figure on Christmas when they could get a when they could get a PS4.
In regards to that particular argument, I greatly disagree. I think there's still many kids out there that'd be interested in action figures or toys in general. The the thing is, traditional toys are still going to be out there, but with popularity of items like the iPad, cell phone, whatever, there'd be more toys that would be interactive. Like you can hook them up to some kind of app or program on the app or the iPad.
Kind of like the toys for the Batman on Kids WB. Or even the Mighty Magisword app that interacts with the show and creates a loud noise that's very annoying when you're trying to watch the show and listen to the character and the quippy quips, the witty quips. Word.
You know what? Fair. I actually can't figure out a good argument against that. So yeah. I don't know. And then I also recall the gendering thing with Disney. Disney Channel for a while was it's unambiguous. They were definitely trying to narrow in on a very specific periphery demographic. Not periphery demographic, just a very specific demographic of really young girls. And because of that, they did Disney XD, which Disney XD I guess Disney is going to look back at Disney XD as kind of a failure, which kind of sucks because I kind of like Disney XD. I don't know.
I mean, one of the reasons why it could be considered that is that you can't watch it without, having bought the channel. Which, if you get the basic pack for cable and stuff, that includes Disney Channel. But if you want Disney XD, that's a little bit extra.
Yeah, that's a big thing. So now I'm hoping that the new business plan that Disney has, especially since they're porting all of the Disney XD shows back to Disney Channel. I hope this is a good sign. And, so far there has been nothing to tell me otherwise, so I'm pretty confident that this is a good thing.
I mean, that's one of the reasons for the ratings drops. Like Star Versus, when it was on the Disney Channel, it had pretty good ratings. Then they moved it exclusively to Disney XD, the ratings started to drop. Same with Wander Over Yonder. And the reason? Not everyone has Disney XD.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really yeah.
I remember back when it was still Toon Disney, they would have, if I remember right, Disney Channel was their newest show in their current lineup, and then Toon Disney was more cartoon-oriented and some other older stuff. And that was actually pretty good because it allowed me to get caught up on some shows.
Yeah.
And there was Cartoon Network and Boomerang. I still remember the Boomerang commercials. Boomerang, it's all coming back to you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So one.
That'd be nice if I could afford it.
Another conclusion I think is coming. I think just live action sitcoms in general. They're kind of the death of a lot of these networks, aren't they? Because I'm just thinking, okay, so Nickelodeon obviously had that creep Dan Schneider produce a majority of their live action content. We already discussed that. We don't need to go more into that. The Disney's mid 2000s attempt, the thing that eventually birthed Disney XD, was them trying to put out more and more live action Disney kid coms. Disney kid coms that would bring in little girls to watching the channel. And then Cartoon Network, we all know what happened when they tried to go the live action route. The entire CN reel, and thank God that's over. It's almost like when you own a channel and you try to go the cheap route of shooting don't get me wrong, the production for sitcoms, and this goes for almost any sitcom, if they have like a laugh track and they have like a multi-camera setup, it's meant to, those shows are meant to be easy to film and easy to talk and cheap to make. The most expensive thing you have is the actors, but even then you can usually put out a really good celebrity brand out of them. Have them put out a few singles out of it. It's what it is it's a ready-made franchise whose main component is easily put out. But what this ultimately means is when you keep putting out cheap content, people don't watch it. Who would have thought?
The thing also with a lot of modern live action shows on those channels is that they don't really treat the audience as though they have a brain. Like, a lot of the jokes fall flat, and granted, I know it's not I'm not part of the demographic and stuff, but I know a joke when I see it, and a lot of the jokes aren't really.
Well, it's not just
funny.
kid coms though. When it comes to these sitcoms, shows like The Big Bang Theory and Two and a Half Men, and all of these other multi-camera shows with that very specific type of lighting and that very specific type of cam laughter, they're all developed with the same mindset. And this isn't to say that all sitcoms are necessarily bad. I know that there are more than a few sitcoms that have landed in the public consciousness because they were genuinely funny. Heck, there are a few sitcoms on Disney Channel I have a soft spot for. I liked That's So Raven. I liked Wizards of Waverly Place. With that said, hello. Cameron, go. With that said, hold on, guys. I'm back. I'm sorry, my little brother came in to get hangers.
All right.
But there are a few sitcoms out there that do have genuine quality to them. But at the end of the day, nothing stops the fact that what a sitcom is intended to do is to make a show that is easily spat out by the network, that they can air in reruns and gain a big, cheap, and easy fan base and a franchise. Wow, I really hate sitcoms, apparently. I didn't realize how passionate I was about that.
It happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a quick look at live action.
I hope you guys enjoyed my rant about live action sitcoms. Because I hate them. With a passion, apparently.
Been there, done that.
And this, let me also further clarify before I alienate a few people. This refers specifically to the multi-camera sitcom. This doesn't apply to things like, say, I don't know, Game of Thrones or whatever normies watch. There is there are when I'm usually single camera shows usually have a little bit more passion put into them. So yeah.
Let's see. Live action series. Hmm.
Oh my God! What if it ends up? What if Butch ends up producing a weird combination between Nick Jr. and Nick at Night? What if that's all it is? Like, because he did mention in his video that he was looking for getting at potentially getting projects that have already been done and giving them a new home. Well, I mean, other things that I think fit his definition of family friendly would include shows like, say, Full House or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In which case, what if he basically creates Nick at Night Part 2? Just another option for what this might turn out to be.
It's possible. Though, this is really speculating to the point where the Kickstarter might have succeeded and there was enough interest generated that Butch was able to get a bigger, beefier investor on board and actually get things up off the ground. Not sure things are going to get to that particular phase.
Going off of Reddit and YouTube comments, all the people who are supporting Butch Hartman, they are Butch Hartman fans, is what they are. People who grew up watching not Cartoon Network, who grew up watching Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom. And they're not doing it because they care about a family-friendly product. They're doing it because they like Fairly Odd Parents. Just going off of all the comments I'm seeing.
Hmm. 13 Rogood's comments like, if Butch does that, then he'll be good. That's how the hub started. Viacom just didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, the hub did have its issues. Like, for instance, even though I enjoy the show and absolutely love it and would love to get all the other 2 seasons on DVD, but Dan Versus was not a show I would expect to be aired alongside Friendship is Magic and Littlest Pet Shop.
Yeah.
I'm looking at another Reddit, and there's a lot of people who are saying, I don't know, it's already been said, but there's a lot of competition that Butch is going to have to fight. Because even taking into account the fact that it's a family-friendly platform, aside from YouTube Kids and on Netflix, Amazon also apparently has their own kid-friendly streaming service. Disney is... Well, Disney, that's pretty much what their streaming service is going to be, because Disney is a family-friendly company. And I'm just looking, there's a lot of people who want their own streaming service now, a lot of companies. And it's a lot of competition for a product that most people, I imagine, are going to treat as I don't know. This goes into just streaming in general, and arguments about what do people watch, who will watch it, and all this stuff. and there's a lot of things to say, but it's almost like an entirely new can of worms just talking about streaming. Because one of the things that I hate is the fact that there are so many I don't know, there are so many content producers who are who favor specific streaming sites. There are certain things you can only get on Netflix, or certain things you can only get on Hulu. And then who knows what happened when Disney actually releases their streaming service. If it hasn't already been done already. It's going to be frustrating for a lot of the customer base to choose which one to get.
Sites like VR or Verve, they've got their own thing, and then they've also got Crunchyroll.
Yeah, Verve, Crunchyroll, those are just other examples.
Which I looked it up to see if even Crunchyroll had a kid-friendly version of it. Kid-friendly anime. I know it exists.
So I don't know, like basically, I can't remember where. I am almost definitely stealing this line from someone else, but I cannot remember where I stole it from. But essentially, streaming services have become akin to being their own channels. And they all produce their own content. And because they only produce their own content and not other people's content, people the only people have to have multiple different streaming accounts to get the shows they want. So I don't know. The entire streaming the entire streaming situation, there's just so many things going on, and I am definitely not in any position to call myself an expert on any of this.
Yeah, the requirement to have so many different subscriptions to all the various streaming services isn't exactly a plus to a lot of these contents. I mean, if there was a streaming service, like an amalgamation, but then again, that then rides the thin line between monopolies, which then could create a black market with pirated sites, and then you get into the wild west of the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know. In regards to streaming services, I'm half tempted to shelve that particular half of the discussion for doing a bit more research, seeing what people who I'll be brutally honest. I can only see it from the customer perspective of I'd probably only get 2 or 3 streaming services, even if I was your typical American household that could actually afford stuff. But looking at it as a customer from that perspective, not not particularly appealing. So that half of Butch's Kickstarter or what he wants to get into, not really looking too good. But again, I'm half tempted to shelve or chair this particular discussion and bring it up again next week just for discussing that in general after doing a bit more research or looking up who all plans on getting their fingers into this particular pie, what the potential issues might be, that kind of thing.
Yeah. That Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Because I'm only coming at this from the I'm only coming from this from a I'm only coming from this from a I guess from a customer standpoint as well. Actually, correction, I'm coming at this from the I don't know, the framing. I have nothing else to say, I guess, in regards to that, at least at the moment.
I'm coming at this from the perspective of a potential customer and somebody that is a Butch Hartman fan to some degree. Like, I enjoyed early seasons of Fairly Odd Parents. I like Danny Phantom. The guy himself seems to be like a decent enough fella. And if anything, I wouldn't consider myself the best person to critique this particular project, but I will put my opinion out there. I just see this as a discussion that's worth discussing in general. That's worth bringing up some kind of buzz about. That's worth getting people in general discussing it. I know there's been a couple of different people that have made videos already, but I think there needs to be more. I think there needs to be even more people discussing this or putting their thoughts and opinions out there about what they think about this platform, what they think might help it. And I know some of this is also followed by discussing controversies or Butch Hartman himself. Personally, I'd like to keep the discussion focused on the Oaxis Entertainment platform, or what could be done, or what suggestions could be out there to improve it. But no matter what you're looking at, when it comes to Kickstarters and stuff, of course there's going to be some kind of controversial discussion or discussion about the person or the man behind the curtain, for lack of a better description.
Okay. There is one more point of view I can go about the Oaxis thing that I can talk about, but I've also been kind of avoiding it. And that's really of the point of view of a content creator. And the reason why I've been avoiding it is because this also has a lot to do with me personally, which is weird. But would you mind if I talk about that just a little bit?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so without revealing too much, I have been in talks with a few studios about a certain specific project that I am not going to be mentioning the name of on here. And when I saw the video, and when I first heard that Butch Hartman was starting his own service where he was going to be producing his own getting other creators to produce shows for it, I was actually considering for maybe about 10 seconds pitching some of my own ideas to them. Now, for the record, I have gone through the pitching process with one specific company, so my experience is more than some people, but also a lot less than other people. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But, for a moment I was thinking, oh, hey, it's another company I could pitch to. But then as soon as I heard what he wants to do and who his target demographic is, I lost all hope of actually pitching to him. I have maybe one potential idea that I could possibly do for him, but I really don't want. I, as a content creator, really don't want Butch's unsaid ideas on what constitutes family friendly to get in the way of what I have in mind creatively. And I do have a kid friendly idea out there. It's just with me as a content creator not knowing what he wants, that's one of the things that has me worried about pitching to him in the first place. So that's just my hot take about something that's actually very specific to what's going on with me and Oaxis. I want to pitch to him, I just don't think I can, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah, I would need at least a 10-page pamphlet of rules and regulations to go through before pitching anything.
Although, to be honest, the what's called the company that I went to, the company that I actually went to, and am still in talks with, um, they only had a web page that detailed some of the things without going into it too much. I don't think that's for every company because I think every company has their own thing. But the company I specifically went to only had a single web page and maybe also a few example scripts and storyboards. But yeah, that's just me.
I guess
Now that you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
just with this Bush Hartman thing, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Now that you've brought up bringing up the perspective of a prospective creator, that's definitely another interesting element to put into the mix. When I haven't pitched anything myself, but looking at the options that somebody would have if they were passionate enough about a project and wanted to present to somebody, the two companies I can think of that'd be worth a shot if you want to keep some ounce of creative freedom but want network backing would be Channel Frederator or Netflix. This is kind of departing from the whole discussion about Butch Hartman and a streaming service in general. Just thinking about somebody starting up, or if somebody had the capital or had some kind of business sense. If there were a niche that's open right now, it'd be something that give creators more active. Is somebody rifling paper or something?
I'm sorry, I was shuffling a deck of cards. I stopped. I didn't know that I was getting feedback. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, man. Just like been listening to it for like the past minute or so, and I'm like, what? Okay.
No,
I was kind of worried there because I was cleaning my keyboard with one of my watercolor brushes.
I am so sorry. I did
that loud.
You're fine. Okay. Going from there, there's definitely interest or potential for another platform that would give creators more creative control, or I'd say that's the biggest appeal for pitching to somewhere like Frederator or Netflix. They seem to have a little bit looser reins on what a creator can potentially do or what kind of concepts they'd be willing to work with or put on their platform in the first place.
Netflix is harder to pitch to. Telling that from experience because I have not. That's okay. I'm not working with Netflix, obviously, so you guys can cross that off the list. But I'm just telling you right now. Trying to pitch to Netflix, directly is not a good idea. What you want to do if you want to get your thing on Netflix, you have to find another like a studio or something, and you have to pitch to them first and try to get them to pitch to Netflix.
Oh, okay.
But that's just me. And I guess the cat's out of the bag on that one. I am not working for Netflix. So you guys can go to sleep resting that one studio has been crossed off the list.
Those are just the first two that come to mind. I didn't know that was part of the process. But that said, there's definitely room, or I could see some kind of... I know that's idealistic thinking, though. A streaming service or some kind of platform that was a bit more open-minded to taking pitches from up-and-coming creators. That was a bit more open-minded about giving them some kind of creative control or more creative control over their property than what a more traditional network would.
Yeah, I would just view it as like the creator should have control, but at the same time, not complete control. It's one of those give and take things. Because if a creator has a bad idea and it's completely under their control, we get things like the Star Wars prequels.
That's a fair point. I guess.
But if we get a content creator that has good ideas and is able to execute them properly, then we get things like Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Even though I do strongly believe that there should have been a third season, and season 2 could have been split in half and eat like the whole weird apocalypse thing could have been led up to in season 3 and then the whole secret agent thing could have been permeated throughout season 2 and then ending at the season finale for season 2 and in like A Tale of Two Stands could have been the season 3 opener.
Okay. In regards to the whole streaming service idea, I think there's a lot of potential just opening up doors for content creators to have more easy access to pitching or putting ideas out there. Frederator seems to be your best bet in that particular case. Yeah. Or they seem to be a bit more easily accessible than what you get otherwise. Or like they're a bit more willing to take a risk on an up-and-comer. That's the general impression I've gotten.
Yeah, and their spotlight of new ideas and show kind of reminds me of old classic Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon with things like Oh Yeah Cartoons and What a Cartoon.
Well, yeah, Oh Yeah Cartoons and What a Cartoon were created by Fred Siebert, who eventually went on to found Frederator.
All right then.
And actually, in a lot of ways, I'm pretty sure those two shows constitute predecessors of what Frederator has eventually become. Yeah. Actually, now since we're talking about Frederator quite a bit, I think it's also worth noting that that's where Butch Hartman, he didn't get his start with Frederator themselves because he predates Frederator when it comes to cartoons. He actually got his start with Cartoon Network Studios. But his history with cartooning is directly related to Fred Siebert, the founder of Frederator. His various pilots of his aired on both Oh Yeah Cartoons and What a Cartoon. And eventually, Fairly Odd Parents came out of Oh Yeah Cartoons on Nickelodeon. So, I thought, actually, if anything, I'm kind of wondering why he didn't reach out to anybody who, was also Frederator to help him do this streaming service, because Frederator is clearly doing what he wants to do a little bit more successfully. No, they're doing it by targeting a completely different demographic, but still.
Either he doesn't agree with the more raunchy cartoons that Frederator has currently, or wants to be in more control.
Yeah, raunchy, but just barely.
It's not kid friendly.
Yeah. It's really, I don't know, the entire, I know, what's called, this is just going into like what I've seen from Cartoon Hangover and all of their quote unquote adult shows. I love Channel Frederator quite a bit, and I love all the shorts they put up. Adult Swim, they are not, and I think that's a good thing. Like, their stuff is just barely edgier than what shows up on Cartoon Network. And in the case of very specifically Bee and Puppycat, you could actually, I can see someone just porting Bee and Puppycat over to Cartoon Network and minimal changes having to occur. Just given what the shows are like, and then you also have, some slightly more edgier shows in that they have maybe a little bit more gross out content. I know their short series. The short that they kicked off with was what's the name of it? The one with the cat witch. I can't remember the name.
The summoning?
Yeah, the summoning. That was gross short, but it was cute. And the main character had the most adult thing about it was that the character had a pentagram on her head the entire time. And then you also had Welcome to Doozy, which actually, in all honesty, Welcome to Doozy feels like a kid's show. There is nothing in that short at all that I think constitutes adult animation in any real way. I don't know. This is just my observation.
Okay. Going to go ahead and wrap up this particular discussion right here. Going to bring up the topic of streaming services next week, next Sunday at around the same time. Possibly discuss the rise and fall of Netflix and other related stuff. Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and I hope you have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Aloha.